Hello everyone, in this tutorial we will learn how to save a sales invoice in WEB POS. Moving on to today's topic, we'll see an introduction to sales, types of sales and their posting in the application, sales return, and its report. First of all, let's take a brief understanding of sales. A transaction that includes an exchange of services or goods for a certain amount of money is known as a sales. Generally, we have two types of sales invoices. The first one is a sales tax invoice, which is also known as a tax invoice. A tax invoice is an itemized commercial document that records the products or services delivered to the customer, the total amount due, and the preferred payment method. It is symbolized as TI in the application. Tax invoices are generally used in both B2B and B2C businesses. Where B2B refers to the transaction conducted by one business to another business, and B2C refers to the business that sells their product directly to the final consumer. The second type of invoice is an abbreviated tax invoice, which is also known as a sales invoice. A sales invoice is an itemized commercial document that records the products or services delivered to the customer, the total amount due, and the preferred payment method. It is symbolized as SI in the application. Basically, it is used for B2C business that sells their product directly to the final consumer. An abbreviated tax invoice can be issued to the maximum sales amount of 10,000 including VAT. Please keep in mind that if you make a sale of more than 10,000 from a sales invoice in the application, then it will be converted into a tax invoice. At first, we will see how to save a tax invoice. Now let's look into the application. Simply go to the transaction, click on Sales, and then select Sales Tax Invoice from the drop-down. As you can see on the Sales Tax Invoice page, where the bill number is auto-generated by IMS software each time you perform a sales invoice. Now the invoice and entry date should be same as the current date. After that reference number, it is a unique sequential code for this invoice. You can manually enter it here, and we will use the date as our reference number. As you can see in this warehouse section, the default warehouse has already been selected for the user. Click on this section and press enter to select other warehouses as per your requirement. Now from this salesman section you can select the sales representative for this sales invoice. Click on this section and press enter to select salesman as per the requirement. This field is not mandatory, it is mostly used in B2B business. Now, click on this customer section and press enter. The list of the customer will appear. You can also manually search for the customer on the basis of these filters. You can now add a new customer from this icon as well. When you click on this icon, a Create Customer Profile form will appear on the screen, from which you can add a new customer. Now, rather than adding the customer through this add icon, we will click on this section and press enter to select the customer. To search the customer, we will use a name from this filter option. You can provide remarks as per your requirement. For the moment you will be unable to enter anything in this flat discount section. A flat discount is a final discount that will be deducted from the net amount of this sales invoice. After selecting the items, you will be able to enter the flat discount as per your requirement. Simply scan the product barcode and the product which is assigned to that barcode will be displayed here. We have already explained how barcode works in our other video. Now, if you click the particular area and press enter, then you will be able to select the items that you have created through Product Master. You can also manually search for the item on the basis of these filters. We'll select the item code to search for an item. First, let's select the set wet which is a VAT product. The unit that was selected when adding the product will now be displayed here. If that product has an alternative unit, you can select it from this drop-down. Now enter the quantity purchased by the customer. So after that, the rate column will display the product's selling price excluding VAT. Let's look into the amount section, where the amount will be calculated accordingly to the quantity and the rate that you have entered. If you want to provide a discount, then enter the percentage discount in this column, and IMS software will automatically calculate the amount of the discount and display it here. The total discount amount will now be displayed in this total discount column. You cannot edit this section. We will continue without adding any discount. As you can see in the VAT column, 13% of the VAT calculated from the rate of this item will be displayed here. This VAT will be added to the amount and displayed in the net amount of this product. If you entered an expiry date while adding this product, it will be displayed here. Click on this symbol to add more rows. Now let's add another item that is a non-VAT product. If you look at the VAT column, you will notice that it's empty, because it's a non-VAT product and VAT will not be added to the product. You can add many items as per your requirement. If you need to remove a row, simply press this cross icon. After that, if you click on this F10 button or press F10 on your keyboard, details about the membership and its point form will be displayed. We will go over each section here. Now, membership ID, it contains the unique identity of the member that is tagged in the current invoice. It will display the customer that is tagged as a member in the current invoice, otherwise it will be empty. From the party master, you can add a customer as a member while adding the customer. After that, membership name, the member name will be displayed in this section if that customer is tagged as the member for this invoice. Now, scheme is an offer provided to the member that is tagged in this current invoice. It is mainly used in B2B business, and in B2C, it is also known as a loyalty scheme. After that, referred by ID, a referrer is a person who referred that customer to your store. You can select that referrer name from this section, click on this section, and press enter to select the member name. After selecting the referred ID, and referred name will autofill in these sections, the point will be given to the referred member, based on the customer they send into the store, and the point can be set from the point master. These fields are not mandatory, you can add them as per your requirement. Now, prior earned points, this field contains the reward point that is earned by the member in the previous sales invoices. After that, earned points in bill, it is the reward points that are earned in the current invoice. You can set the reward point for the product from the point master. We have explained about point master and how it works in our separate video. Now, bill amount is the net amount of the current sales invoice. After that, click on the Save option or press End on your keyboard to save the sales invoice. After clicking Save, a bill tender form will appear on your screen, where you can select the payment terms and enter the appropriate amount of the items. As you can see, cash has already been chosen as your default payment method. You can use your mouse cursor or a shortcut key on your keyboard to select the payment mode and other options. The keyboard shortcut keys for using bill tender mode are Shift plus page up to go up, Shift plus page down to go down, Tab key to select the next cell, Shift plus Tab to select the previous cell, Space key to select, End key to save, and ESC key to cancel. In this video, we will show you by using 4 different payment options to save the different vouchers. First, we will start with cash. If the customer paid you in cash, then you can choose cash as a payment option. For example, let's assume that the customer has provided you 1000 cash, but the net amount of this invoice is 650 only. Now enter the amount that is provided by the customer in this section, and click on Add. It will display the amount with its payment mode. After that, let us look at the details of this bill tender one by one. The tender amount is the amount that we have entered in this amount section, which is provided by the customer. Bill amount is the net amount of this invoice. Due amount is the amount that the customer needs to pay for this invoice. Change amount is the amount if the customer makes payment of more than bill amount. The same detail of the due amount and change amount is also displayed here. If you want to change the payment mode or the tender amount, then click on this Remove button. Now click on the Save button, or press End on your keyboard to save the tax invoice. After that, you can select the bill format from this pop-up. You can print this invoice in both 3mm and in A4 based on your need. For this payment mode, we will select A4 and click on Print. This is a preview of the tax invoice that is automatically generated by the IMS software. There are 2 copies of the same invoice that will be printed as the original bill. The tax invoice should be given to the customer, while the invoice should be kept in the store. When you look at this tax invoice, you will notice that 13% of the VAT amount added to this invoice is also included. This VAT column is only available in tax invoice. You can also change the paper size from this drop-down. To print this tax invoice, click the Print button. The invoice bill will be printed depending on your printer. Now we will add another item, and select the next payment mode. Let's select credit, to obtain goods or services before payment is known as credit. After that, click on this account section and press enter to select the account of the customer, then click on the balance amount and click on add. Now click on this save button or press end on your keyboard to save your sales tax invoice. Now for this second invoice, we will select 3mm bill format. You can select any one as per your requirement. This is the preview of the 3mm bill that will be printed through the receipt printer. There are 2 copies of the same invoice that will be printed as the original bill. The tax invoice should be given to the customer, while the invoice should be kept in the store. After that, let's add another item and select the next payment mode. We will select a credit card. If the customer has provided a debit card or credit card, then you can select a credit card as a payment option. From this account section, you can now choose which bank you want to credit that amount to. Now, click the balance amount button, and the net amount of this sales invoice will be entered, and click on add. After that, use the POS device, and enter the net amount of this invoice in the device. Please keep in mind that you only have to click on save after the transaction bill is printed from the POS device. After that, let's add another item. Now let's select PhonePe Gateway. You can select any one of the payment modes as per the requirement. After that, simply click on this balance amount to enter the net amount of this sales invoice. Click on Add to display the amount with its payment mode. If you don't require that payment term, click the Remove button. The PhonePe QR code payment options will now be displayed on your screen. You can receive the QR code and merchant ID from the respective gateway. After that, the customer will scan the QR code with their device, and the QR code will automatically disappear from the screen once the payment is completed. Then click on Save. This is a preview of the sales invoice bill that is automatically generated by the IMS software. You can also change the paper size from this drop-down. To print this sales tax invoice, click the Print button. The invoice bill will be printed depending on your printer. Now click on this View option or press F4 on your keyboard to view the list of previous sales invoices. Click on a voucher to view its sales invoice details. You won't be able to edit this voucher. You can also print this sales invoice voucher from the View mode. Click on this Print button or press F8 on your keyboard to print this sales invoice voucher. This is the invoice voucher that will be printed from the View mode. It is printed twice, so it is indicated as copy of the original one. Now click this Reset button or press F3 on your keyboard to clear everything that you have entered on the current voucher. After that, click on this Back button to go to the dashboard. In this video, we have learned about the introduction of sales, types of sales vouchers, and how to save tax invoices. Now in our next session, we will discuss what an abbreviated tax invoice is, and its posting in the application.